The CDC says it's eager for cruises to restart this summer, but what has to happen for this to become a reality? Bonjour les amis, I'm Ilana from the website lifewellcruise.com. Welcome back to my channel. Now there's been so much news going on day by day that I'm creating this video because, well, if you haven't been able to follow it every single day, almost every hour, I'm going to have all of the biggest cruise news stories in this video, including the optimistic possibly news that cruises might restart in midsummer, what has to happen. We're going to talk about what dates specifically is important and why. And it's not April 21st, by the way, so it's a different date. As well, we're going to talk about the humanitarian efforts that are happening right now in St. Vincent. We're also going to be looking at a major cruise line and some updates they're doing to their cruise ships, and of course, the newest cruise restart plans. Now, I did want to mention before I start this video that if you do like the content, please remember to give it a big thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. We offer cruise news and cruise tips every single week. Let's get started. So first, let's look at the Norwegian Cruise Line comeback. Norwegian Cruise Line is sailing with 3 cruise ships starting on July 25th. The first cruise ship is the Norwegian Jade. That is going to be sailing out of Athens, doing a Greek Isles itinerary. And then after that, starting on August 7th and then August 15th, they are sailing in Dominican Republic and as well from Montego Bay in Jamaica. So very exciting. Now, something that I wanted to mention is in an interview with Porthole Magazine, a very good interview, by the way, if you do want to check that out on YouTube. Well, something that Harry Sommer, the CEO of Norwegian Cruise Line, did mention is that he envisioned a startup of a cruise ship every single week. So I don't know what is to come, but I have a feeling that there is more good news coming from Norwegian Cruise Line. Now, at the same time, we do have a interesting video, an interesting docu-series, if you will, that's coming out from Norwegian Cruise Line called Embark, where you'll actually be able to see them documenting how they are restarting cruising. And they say that you'll even have this sort of fly on the wall, sort of be able to hear these unscripted conversations that are happening between the cruise line executives. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing that. I'll leave the link to that on the screen so that you can check that out. Now, we also do have some news from Norwegian Cruise Line as to what they had to say to the CDC, but that will be coming up later in the video when we do talk more about the CDC versus the cruise industry. That is definitely something we have to talk about, but that'll be just in a minute. In other exciting news for the cruise restart, we have Virgin Voyages, who has unfortunately canceled their Caribbean sailings that were due to have left from Miami due to uncertainty, and they are sailing instead starting on August 6th in the UK. So as you know, since the cruise lines are not allowed to sail yet from the United States, cruise lines have been partnering with some of the Caribbean islands, the ports, to be able to restart there. So we have the Crystal Symphony that's restarting on August 5th. They're doing 10-night sailings from St. John's, Antigua, and they're really quite beautiful sailings. They're going all the way up till December 23rd, so that includes a Christmas sailing. And of course, this is in addition to the other Crystal ship, the Crystal Serenity, that is sailing in the Bahamas. And as well, they have the luxury expedition ship, the Crystal Endeavor, that is going to be sailing in Iceland. The Viking Orion is going to be sailing in Bermuda starting in June. And they're going to actually home port in Hamilton. And of course, this is in addition to Viking's other cruise ship, the Viking Venus, which actually sold out in like record time in the UK, and the Viking Venus that is also sailing in Iceland. The Seabourn Ovation is sailing from Greece starting on July 23rd. And of course, we have those previously announced cruises from Royal Caribbean, including the Adventure of the Seas sailing from the Bahamas. We have the Vision of the Seas sailing from Bermuda, and we have Celebrity Millennium, which is sailing from St. Martin, and the Apex that is sailing from Greece. So very exciting. There are just more and more cruise ships that have announced they're sailing in the UK. They have, they're well over a dozen cruise ships now. So this is definitely an exciting restart. We will talk about the CDC in just a moment, but first, let's look at a Caribbean island, and that is St. Vincent, that right now is getting some assistance from some cruise lines as, unfortunately, they are having really a major disaster. The La Soufrière volcano has erupted. This is a developing story, but it looks like about 16,000 residents of St. Vincent are going to have to be moved over to neighboring islands that are going to be taking them in. This includes Grenada, Barbados, and Antigua. And we have cruise lines from Carnival, cruise lines from Celebrity and Royal Caribbean that were all within the area and have gone over to assist. And they're assisting in various ways. So transporting people, but as well for medical facilities, for food. So really offering a lot of assistance. And again, this is a developing story. So as we know more, we will be following this story. Now, there is one cruise line that I forgot to mention in the cruise startups, and that is the Bahamas Paradise cruise line. That is a smaller cruise line with one cruise ship, and they actually leave out of Florida. They do 2-night sailings to the Bahamas. Well, they actually say that they're restarting cruising at the beginning of July, and they're actually putting those cruises on sale. Now, there is one website, Cruise Radio, that does state in their headline that it's pending approval. So I don't know if this is CDC approved yet, but this will be interesting to know. Let me know if you have any thoughts on this. Please comment below. So now on to some major updates for Princess Cruises. But first, I have a question for you. If you could, would you like to work at sea? And no, I don't mean as crew, but would you like to work remotely while on a cruise, or maybe do distance learning? Well, what Princess is doing is they're upgrading, supercharging, if you will, their medallion net. And what they're doing is basically with their partners, their connectivity partners, is they're launching new satellites to make their medallion net even better, increase the connectivity on every vessel, every cruise ship in its fleet, so that whether you're in your stateroom or any public area, you're just going to have great internet like you would have on land, if not better, maybe, because in my house it's just not great. But in any case, I'd like to know from you, is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? Would you? I personally think it is still a good thing because it offers choice for people, and I think connectivity is good. But could you see yourself working at sea? Would you take more cruises if you could work at sea? That is something interesting. Please let me know below if you would like to work at sea, if you'd like to see that increased internet maybe on all of the cruise lines, or if you go on a cruise and you want to recharge, and if this is just not that interesting to you, please let me know down in the comments below. Okay, now on to the news that we all want to know about, and that is what has to happen for cruises to resume from the United States. Well, as soon as possible, and hopefully in July. As you know, there has been massive pressure on the CDC from the cruise lines, the cruise industry, the travel agents associations, from government officials, from the cruise port leaders. There's been so much pressure, even from mainstream media at this point, for the CDC to either rescind the Conditional Sailing Order, or at least to make the Conditional Sailing Order something that maybe has some updates to it so the cruise lines can actually work through it with the CDC and have a realistic, clear path with a timeline for resuming cruising. So let's go through some of the things that have been happening in the last, week or so that are leading up to this boiling point. So as you know, the CDC has issued a phase 2A of their 4 phases of their Conditional Sailing Order. Unfortunately, not all of the phases are known, and test cruises still have to happen after 2A, but the cruise lines don't exactly have the directives for that. So the cruise lines, really what they had to say about this is that really it was largely unworkable and burdensome. So really, especially given the fact that they have been sailing now for months with hundreds of thousands of passengers, they've been actually in practice doing the work. And it looks like there's just not a lot of communication going on between the CDC and the cruise lines. So this really has to happen. But what happened after this? Now, the CDC has responded, and they are saying that they are committed to working with the cruise lines, and they're hopeful that cruises can restart by midsummer. The only problem is they're committed to working through that Conditional Sailing Order and that phased approach, which they still seem to be really there's like a little bit of a battle because the cruise lines don't really want to go through these phases anymore. And really the cruise lines are saying that these are outdated, which really does look like this is probably true. Now, CLIA, the Cruise Line International Association, has 2 things to say. One, they have set up an action page, just something to let you know that you can actually let your representatives know what you have to say about this in support of the cruise industry. So I'm going to leave the website address on the screen so that you can go head over there and send your representative a message of support for the cruise industry if that's what you want to do. But the other thing that they had to say is that if the CDC does have a goal of restarting by July, that is workable for cruise lines, but they need to get moving on this quickly. And they say that they need to know by the date of May 1st for cruises to be able to restart in early July. So that's our date. That's the date coming up that the cruise lines need to know by then if cruises can actually restart. And something that the Travel Advisors Association, ASTA, has pointed out is that for the travel advisors to even make plans and to work with their clients, that they really do also need to know there has to be a timeline where people can know that cruises are going to be happening. So I would like to know from you if you think that this is promising, if you think that the tide is turning. I personally think that due to this pressure, and especially the mainstream media has been overall positive for cruise lines now, recognizing that they are doing a phenomenal job cruising safely. And, something to remember too is that the conditions are different now. Many of the cruise lines are actually mandating vaccines, not necessarily forever, but vaccines, and do have these safety measures in place. So I would like to know from you, what do you think the chances of cruises starting in the summer, let's say July, what do you think the chances are of them starting? Let me know by a percentage, please. So 10% chance restarting in July, 90% chance restarting in July. I'd like to know from you what you think. Please let me know in the comments below. And of course, if you did like this video, please do give it a thumbs up. I really do appreciate your support. And please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Well, happy future cruising, and bye for now.